Hi, welcome back. So this is our sixth lesson on C++, and this time we're going to be learning about functions. You guys already had a little bit of an introduction to this in the beginning when we always use our main function, but here you guys are going to dive a little deeper and understand exactly how they work. So functions are like a little box that they store a little bit of code, or actually any amount of code. There's an infinite amount of code you can put inside a function, and it stores this code, and you can use and run this code basically wherever you want in the program. So you have your main function, and that's the first function where it starts, and that main function can call any other function, and when you call another function, the code inside that function is going to be run. So you guys are going to understand a little bit better when we try it for ourselves. But a little bit more about them is you can call a function within itself to do an infinite loop. So it's not the only ways that you can do it with while loops or for loops. You can also use functions to do an infinite loop. And the functions are also really good because they help your program to be more organized. So instead of just using a bunch of if statements and just putting a lot of stuff in it, sometimes you can do an if statement and just put one function in it, and instead of having a bunch of code in that if statement, you just have that little one function that directs you somewhere else. And it's really useful because sometimes you can use that function in more than one place. So instead of having to write the code again and again, you just have the little one function that you can plug in anywhere that you need it. So let's try to do this for ourselves and see how it works. So over here, I already wrote everything that we need for the beginning. So we already have our string included, our iString, and I have that age, and I already wrote our main function here. So our main function in this case is a void. So since it is a void, that means it's not going to return anything, which is okay because in this case we don't really need it to return anything. But now we're going to make another function, but this one we're going to want it to return something. So in this program, we're going to have the user input, for example, how about 3 numbers, and we're going to have a function that's going to add the three numbers up, and that is going to be outputted. So in our main, we're going to have a cout. Well, first we're going to store the sum of the 3 numbers, and the sum of these 3 numbers, we're going to call it sum numbers, which is a function. So right now it's red because we haven't created that one yet. So now we're going to create that function and sum numbers. So it's very important that this matches. So in this case, we need an int for this value. So we have to make sure that the function that we're creating is also an int so that it's matching. So int numbers. Inside this parenthesis over here, you would write a parameter. In this case, we're not using any parameters because our function is really simple. But a parameter is something that the function is going to take in with it to use as a variable. So, for example, maybe we already know one of the sum of the numbers. So let's try that to maybe see if it helps you guys understand. So int first number, we already know that it is equal to 5. So we already know that's our first number. So we want the function, when it calculates the sum, to already know the first number. So we put it right over here. So uses right first number here. And it's very important that you also have that space for the first number over here. So you can, they can have different names. But in this case, I'm just going to call them the same thing so we're not confused. And see, now it's not red anymore. That means it's working. And here we have our first function. So it's very important that it returns something because it's an int. It's not a void. That means that it has to return an integer. So we write return. And in this case, let's return the sum, right? So we're returning the sum. So we have to create a variable for the sum. So int sum. And so we said that we're going to have to the user input 3 numbers. So let's create 3 different variables for those. So int num1, int num2, and int num3. See, now we have created all of our different values for the user to input. So now we just use cin for all of them. Now the user can input all of these values, and now all we have to do is add them up. So our sum is equal to our first number, right, that we received in the beginning. That's very important. Can't forget about it. So first number plus our number 1, our number 2, and our number 3. We don't forget the semicolon in the end, and there we have it. Now all we have to make sure is that our program is outputting the sum that it receives over here, or else we're not going to be able to see if it works or not. So all we do is cout sum, and now we run to see if it works. So remember that our first number is already 5, so we already have to add 5 to our sum. So let's put our first number 2. So 2 plus 5, 7, right? Let's add 3. So 3 plus 7, 10. And our last number, let's add another 5. So 5 plus 10, 15. So we should get 15. We got 15. That means our program worked. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this made sense. See you guys in the next lesson. Bye.